Where the Footprints End, High Strangeness and the Bigfoot Phenomenon, Volume 2 Evidence, by Joshua Cutchin and Timothy Renner. From the author of Demonic Reality, Patrick Harper. Impressively, even exhaustively researched, Where the Footprints End should give all students of the anonymous serious pause for thought by documenting both the high strangeness that surrounds Bigfoot sightings and the deep folklore in which they are embedded. Cutchin and Renner so far broaden the context of Bigfoot encounters that it is no longer possible to credit any single theory or literalistic interpretation concerning their nature. Indeed, we begin to suspect that the reality of Bigfoot is less a problem to be solved than a mystery to dissolve our view of reality itself. Here at last is the book that dear old Bigfoot deserves. Patrick Harper, author of Demonic Reality. From Greg Newkirk, the director of the Traveling Museum of the Paranormal and the Occult, and executive producer of the Star of Hellier. This book poses a danger to the foundations of cryptozoology. While mainstream Bigfoot investigators would have you believe that people around the world are merely encountering a lost ape, Cutchin and Renner dig into the details. They've swept under the rug, excavating countless Bigfoot reports involving glowing orbs, telepathic communication, and paranormal phenomenon that have more in common with the tales of ancient gods and alien abductions than they do with primatology. Meticulously researched and backed up with the treasure trove of footnotes, Where the Footprints End is poised to do for Bigfoot what Passport to Magonia did for the UFOs. Investigators of apparitions are often frustrated by the way that no apparition exists in isolation. One leads to another. We cannot investigate dogs without cats, cats without fairies, fairies without Bigfoot and lake monsters, any of these without UFOs and aliens. The investigation always broadens to embrace, in the end, all apparitions, as if there were some single principle at work capable of manifesting itself in a myriad of forms. At the same time, the investigation always deepens, pointing to the continuity of apparent apparitions in time, leading us into the past, into folklore and myth. If apparitions cannot be understood in isolation from each other, neither can they be understood separately from the witness who sees them. Patrick Harper, Demonic Reality, a Field Guide to the Other World. Contents. Chapter 1, Mystery Lights. Chapter 2, UFOs. Chapter 3, Vocalizations. Chapter 4, Altered States. Chapter 5, Hex Signs. Chapter 6, Toes. Chapter 7, Trackways. Chapter 8, Disappearing Evidence. Chapter 9 is The Trickster. Chapter 10, Case Study, Out of This World. Chapter 11, Case Study, Under the Owl Moon. Afterward begins on page 272. Index begins on page 275. Preface. Poltergeist, fairies, extraterrestrials, pagan gods, witches, window areas, ghosts, archetypical women in white. Volume 1 of Where the Footprints End illustrates how such topics connect, at least on a metatropical level, to contemporary sightings of large, hairy wild men the world over. These subjects all broadly fall under the umbrella of folklore, both modern and ancient. Volume 2 takes a different approach, primarily examining the way high strangeness manifests in high Bigfoot evidence. This distinction is, of course, something of a misnomer. There is plenty of evidence reported in Volume 1. Similarly, Volume 2 is chock full of folklore. Perhaps a better description of the book in your hands is that it is a much more experimental than it is its predecessor. Volume 2 catalogs the peripheral oddities reported by Bigfoot witnesses, mystery lights, peculiar sounds, stick signs, anonymous lights, footprints, trackways, etc., and demonstrates why, by and large, conventional explanations remained unsatisfactory. We conclude with a pair of our case studies, brief sections compiling how the messy, disparate topics that are those in books are come together in truly baffling encounters. As noted in the introduction to Volume 1, Where the Footprints Ends is not concerned or conceived as a singular book, only separated for logistical reasons. Hence this brief preface rather than a full-blown introduction. The two volumes are incomplete individually and should read together to completely grasp the entire spectrum of high strangeness and the higher phenomenon. Finally, as with the last book, a word of caution. These works and sightings and definitively answers will not be disappointed. No one knows exactly where the footprints end, but Volume 2 marks the final steps of our journey. Chapter 1, Mystery Lights.